But, these are other ideas for another time. Okay, time to focus. Take a breath. Luckily, I accidentally stopped the recording because I yawned, and but didn't capture it, so we're good. Okay, so the truth is, you are not yourself. Neither am I, really. I was recently talking to a relative of mine, and I was expressing to her a story, a true story of the first time I took the psychedelic LSD. The one time in this area that it was actually LSD and not LSA, because apparently there was a lot of LSA going around in the 2010s or whatever, and that's why people were having bummer trips. Yeah, that would have been a nice disclaimer, but whatever. I didn't really dabble with it at that point, but I had a close friend who had a lot of it at some point, and he found out he was really disappointed. He actually moved away pretty far. But anyways, sorry, why is this taking so long for me to get into? Hopefully you keep listening. This is really important, and I'm trying to work it in like a fine lotion. Okay, so the truth is, you're not yourself. I'm not myself. The truth is, we are experiencing ourselves, and it can be kind of vague. One of the first things that prompted me about this idea was that we should look at life, our being so-called in the body, not as being in the body, but as merely peering through it. Some might speculate that when we die, our spirit or soul leaves the body, whichever you prefer to think of it as, and I don't think that's true anymore. I might have believed that. I think I look at it more as like logging off from a video game, a very intensely real video game, almost like a simulation, right? But your consciousness, which is connected to the soul, that continues on into a different form, a different body, probably a different light body. You could call it a body that might be based off the image and imaginings of yourself here in this life, carried over. A lot of times people say astral bodies as being our mind's eye version of ourself that we love the most. Okay, so what I'm trying to get at is that I don't believe I was given the name Matthyw Forbes by my mother and father, and that's not who I am. This is Matt Forbes in time. I am forced through the government and society to conform to believing I am Matthyw Forbes, when in reality, I'm not my body, and I'm not an energy inside of a body. I am a soul, which a soul is like so imagine there's a thread of consciousness, and there's many threads, as you can imagine, infinite, eternal amount of threads. And all of these threads, over time, or experience, or whatever movement, people call it reincarnation. It's just really, you could say, these threads of consciousness incarnating into bodies to experience an extrapolation of time. Meaning that over this time of doing that, you begin to develop a soul. A soul is like a solidified personality of this particular thread of consciousness. And that's what, it's not that our soul resides in the body, but our soul, that part of our consciousness, is remotely somewhere else in an energetic form. And, it almost would seem like the idea of technology makes sense when you look at it this way, that in some way, it is like a video game where we are peering through the eyes of ourselves here. But this is just our body. It's like, the hermit crab leaves the shell, the butterfly that was once a caterpillar. We are just caterpillars here, and we cocoon ourselves in time. And at one point, when we release, we don't see the butterfly here. And that's why nature is all-encompassing of all these forms. They're all shells of these concepts. We're all, I guess you could say, symbols is how we would relate the term. But we are, so imagine, you are this thread of consciousness, and over time, you have become a soul. And some people, maybe their thread isn't as defined or refined or distinctive. And some people it might be, maybe some bodies aren't operating on the soul level. Maybe it's like a blank spirit or something. Who knows? But there's so many ways you could look at it that it's infinitely possible. And that's the whole thing, is that we are experiencing time, but we're wrapped we're wrapped around by infinity, because every point is a point of infinity. And when we move into the soul level is when it becomes the eternal self. And so there's 3 levels. We go from the body to the soul to spirit. The spirit is the pure essence, it's where the source of where the thread is emanating from. So if you follow that thread of your soul consciousness back to the source, you find that that's the whole cosmic connection. In a lot of ways, it doesn't matter what the truth is in certain aspects, because we don't need to know here. Here, this is what we're supposed to realize. We're supposed to realize that this is what we call death, which is a gateway process, where this is the chrysalis. And that, in a sense, is death. Death is just a passing phase. And all phases are just phases. There's no end to the phasing. That's our problem, is that we think everything is stopping. That was something that the author J.D. Salinger spoke about in his book 9 Stories. The very last story, I believe it's the last one, called Teddy, is very important. Very, very, very important. And I've been trying to figure out how to implement this concept into different forms of art to express it, because it changed my life, and it was just another clue, another crumb in the whole experience of getting a better view of all this. So in this story, this little boy Teddy describes to an older man, because this boy Teddy is said to have incarnated enough times to remember his past lives. And which, of course, at that time, in like the 50s, I believe it was when the book came out, we had very rudimentary ways of explaining these concepts of past lives and things like that. And he said, the easiest way to understand infinity is to realize that if you look at your hand and you look between, like hold out your hand and look between your fingers, even though it looks like there's empty space there, it's not. It's all connected to your hand, to the air or whatever, or just whatever is around us. We're like fish in air. The way fish breathe in water, we breathe in air, right? And there's a whole science thing to that. But you realize like your arm is connected to the space around you. You're not separated from it. Everything feels so separated. And that's the point. That's the illusion of it all. And, we're here. So basically what it turns down to, I don't know what your name is, who you are listening, but I was born to become aware of this body known as Matthyw Forbes, because that's all the body is your name. If you want it to be, whatever you want it to be, really. You can name it anything. Shoelace, whatever. And the thing is, you are just here experiencing a slice of time as the person you identify as. I might explain why we do things that we don't understand why we did them, because when we don't think about our choices, there can be like an automaticness to it, and people will talk about the unconscious or subconscious and this and that. That's part of it, but at the same time, if you think about it, if we're surrounded by infinity, which means there's infinite choices, and time is continuous, or simultaneous, well, both. We are simultaneously here experiencing this part of ourselves, making a choice, and we are also somewhere in time, maybe in a different body, experiencing, and that's all the universe has been trying to do, is experience itself in all these vast different ways. So it really, like Bill Hicks would say in his comedy act, which was verging into a glorious performance art beyond comedy, stand-up. And then maybe it took him down a dark path in some ways, some people could say, but he was just riding the ride of Bill Hicks. He had a joke about that. It's just a ride. And when I was younger, I looked at that as like, don't, hold on loosely, but don't let go. But I look at it more now, and I wish I could talk to him about this. I wish he was still alive. Maybe if I put myself in a state of mind to dream with him. I've done that before with people that I find interesting. I try to communicate to some form of their spirit, because their spirit is still in the ether, or maybe it's a part of my unconscious talking back to me in that form. So there's many things at play here. Those things, the things about our mind. There's been so much analysis done on those things that there's a reason why Carl Jung is the king of it. But maybe hopefully he wasn't. Hopefully he wasn't there to just incept our minds to believe these things. But if you experience life as a person, you find that they are universal, they are cosmic. And so you realize he was coming from that place, and that's part of why, Carl Jung would lock himself up in this little mini castle that he created in the woods on his property, and he had no clocks in this place, and he would go there to experience living out of time. I think that's a big practice that society is missing, is that we need to experience life outside of our conductor, the clock. We need to live outside of that world at some point. It's good to like break away from that. That's why psychedelics are so intense, because you just like don't even have the energy. Like you feel like it's a waste of energy to even think about that kind of stuff. Shut your electronics off, just freaking melt into life. And that is pure enjoyment of existence right there. And that's why like reggae is so beautiful and stuff, because you're just vibing with the energy of things. It's not about um, being locked in time, you know. And I could go on about music. I mean, I've played music in different ways my whole life. I've recently been working on for almost a year, because we don't really get together that much because of busy, crazy lives. But I've been working on some drums and recording some drum tracks, and I wish I could have fully written these myself, but the guys who wrote the guitar and the bass, they had a vision for the drums, and I wanted to bring that to life. And it was a fun challenge. I spent a lot of time of my musical years practicing technique, but not really practicing form in a certain sense, because it was more like, you're free to do what you want to do and enjoying that and getting better at learning how to interact and listen. But with this project, I had to follow the time of things, and like, it's great when it all comes together, but my true nature isn't being, I'm not like a drummer, I'm more of a rhythmist. I want to accentuate the time of things rather than be part of the time keeping, so to speak. Anyways, what I'm saying is that we really, and this is hard to get into our minds, and really, you gotta really dig deep in it and live the experience inside of you and let it happen outside of you. But I work on it every day, and I've been trying my whole life, and I didn't know what I was doing, but now I finally figured out what it is, and it's accepting. It's a relief, but it's also, but then the more freedom we seem to have, the scarier life can be at the same time, because you're like, well, what if purpose is only meaningful if I invent it, Because a lot of times we think we have a purpose for things, we find out it was like someone else's purpose in our minds or something we heard someone say, and they go, oh, you know what, I like that too, I want to try that. And that's how everything has perpetuated itself. And now things around us are crumbling. People can't do jobs. Airplanes, people are having trouble having people really fly planes. We're trying to like automate everything, but there's like, if we're gonna be people living this life, we have to be able to do things. There's people don't want to do it in the military. Like all these things are being like infiltrated with different types of mind parasites, you could say. I mean, you can call it controversial, but I stand by the belief that when something doesn't seem right, something in someone's mind or their actions or an attitude or a mood, people have a hard time being compassionate or showing affection or something. Those are symptoms of psychic imbalances. And people say, oh, you either believe in psychic stuff or no, it's not. The point of those things exist because we are cosmic. We are part of spirit. We emanate from that. This thread of consciousness has emanated from that spirit, and there's still a connection to it. And if you look at quantum theory and, what relates to thread, string theory, all those things, it all connects. That's the point. That's what we're here to realize, to experience. And then yeah, you can go on about your day, live a normal life. Realize that your choices, there might be a different you that made a different choice at that moment, and somewhere in time that's happening, somewhere in the infinite possible scope of time. We're just living in these little slices, these little pockets of time. And it feels so real. But it's just an experience of time. And some even say that we move in and out of different realities or dimensions of ourselves continuously. Again, probably why this it would make sense that we're controlled like this, right? Because imagine if you realize that instead of being an addict, certain things would trigger certain parts of you that made certain choices at certain times, and you go back to that personality, that part of your soul, because the thing is, your soul's infinite, so that means the soul is simultaneously trying to experience all possibilities at once. And yeah, you could chalk things up to, try to make it easier to understand and be like, oh, well, it's hereditary, or, addictions are based off of so-and-so science fact. But the bottom line is, we always have a moment to choose. I know, since I started getting deeper into this thought pattern of realization, or whatever you want to call it, at some point you realize there's no more words to use. You just use the words you gotta use and keep going. There's no point in, I don't need chocolate chips in my cookie. It doesn't really make it any better. Sometimes you just want the cookie, sometimes you want the chocolate chips. Some people, they believe, they've been told, they've been led to believe that a cookie is a chocolate chip cookie. Like, there's only, that's the main cookie. I know this sounds really stupid, but this is how deep it all goes, is that it applies to if you just go beyond thinking about, like, analysis as something, because analysis can be very much like you're holding it under the microscope, and it can be very cringy in that sense, where you're very, very tight and wound up. But if you just observe something naturally and just experience it naturally, you'll see that this formula applies to everything. And it's something that people should discuss more often. I feel, I don't know why. Oh, that's right, because we are under control. We're told to worry about our so-called history. I wasn't there. How do I know what happened? We're just being told by something in a book. And when you say these things to people, they laugh, and well, you know what? Laughter, humans invented because it dissipates stress and fear. Oh, I'm laughing. It's like you're trying to play it cool, That was the first person to laugh, is the person that felt the most fear and tried to play it cool. But sometimes you gotta experience that fear, feel it, realize that life is pretty funny because of how ridiculous it is. But that's what that underlying fear is, that kind of weird apprehension, is that it's like, wait, I have been lied to. Everything is false. It's all friggin' willy-nilly, phony baloney bullshit. But it's okay, because it's kept us insulated. It's kept us going this far. And we're slowly evolving, or whatever you want to call it. Because again, that's just a term we were told to believe. And these things are life-shattering, Of course they don't. They want you to believe that you can't handle it. But in reality, it's your origin. It's who you were, that before you were what they made you believe you are. So once you can get to that point, I might not even record or do anything else after this. I might just keep reposting this in different forms and try and get the word out, because I don't really see a point in anything else except for people waking up to this fact that we are just experiencing ourselves in time, and we are not the body, and we're not even totally our soul. when you realize that the soul has just been like, how many times have we done this? How many times, like going again back to the psychedelic thing. If you do psychedelics, you have moments where time's disjointed. I had an experience once with my friends out. We were out in this field, and it was like we'd start walking, and then we would blip, and we'd be walking at another spot, and I'd be like, how the hell did we just get over here? And then we'd blip again, and it was like we were jumping from one spot to another, but it felt like we were just walking in one place. Like we were just walking in the same way the whole time, but yet it felt like we were moving distances. And yet again, just another breadcrumb of this whole thing, the relativity. That's part of it, If it's all relative, then we really have to choose carefully. The problem is, people like Einstein, who are so cherished, so honored, well, they're part of the problem too in a way, because what do we do with people who say these profound things? Whether they had a hidden agenda or were controlled by other people themselves, who knows? Who cares at this point? But there's always speculation. But the fact that those people, he became a celebrity. Oh yes, another layer of gossamer on our soul. Oh wait, the soul, yes. Well, we have also invented what that means. What is the soul? Who invented the idea of soul? I wasn't born knowing what soul is. It was around me in this society, and I know, oh yes, that's soul. Well, what's beyond the soul? The spirit, right? And the spirit's always communicating to us, like a hexac, like Morse code, in different forms. And that's why it created a realm like this to communicate to itself. Some will say that the earth is a giant library, that we are in the Akashic record. Look that up if you don't know what the Akashic records are. If you're listening to this, you probably do. Let's be honest. And if not, well, God bless you, or whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to believe. And I don't mean, okay, maybe I mean you bless you. You have blessed yourself, I have blessed myself. One thing that might be a little disturbing is that we have concocted these ideas that, like, I am you and you are me and Paul McCartney and all that shit. But it's like that's trying to oversimplify things. I feel that never fully checked all the boxes for my questions. The answers didn't add up to the whole thing. And it's because in some grand scheme of things, we are the whole universe, in these threads. But for right now, we have to experience it in this way. And that's what we're going to find out when we die. The sole point of dying is we find out why we did this. So I say to you, you have a choice. You can welcome death and expand the horizon of your life, or you can dig yourself deeper in death. See, because the thing is, with technology and integration into things, it's one thing to like enhance your body. That's cool, it's like getting a new cell phone case or something. That's cool. But to try to fuse your consciousness and stay earthbound, because that's what evil, the so-called, yet again, the words evil and good relative to these things. Whatever it is that has us locked in this system, whatever it is that is making us believe all this stuff about ourselves and life and history and, oh my goodness, whatever it is, that is what has control of us, and all of that. It's all just a bunch of bullshit, They're trying to, when I say they, I mean the people that have all this power that are trying to do all this to us. And you know who they are, just look around. they don't want you to leave here because they want you to stay in this hellscape, so to speak, which is just another state of mind, a state of being. People who are afraid to ascend. That's why money and stuff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you believe in yourself and what's true and have faith in who you are and what you do, the universe will provide around you for just what you need. How much do you really need? Focus on what you really want and what you really need, and you will find a way to have those things somehow over time. It will all make sense. Just gotta be patient with yourself. That's our problem, is we don't know how to be patient with ourselves because we're too goddamn busy running on the treadmill of bullshit. I just read something the other day how the treadmill was invented in like 1830 or 80 something as a punishment. They invented the treadmill of keep running, and now they have us tricked into using treadmills and buying treadmills. And yeah, I mean, it is good to exercise, I'm not gonna lie about that. But it's amazing how over time, something that was once used as a torture device can be used as a way to keep yourself in shape. And I don't disagree with exercise. It's the most enjoyable thing. Keep moving. Keep your mind moving. The more you move, the more you experience what you feel you need for yourself. The more you do what you need to do for yourself. The more you speak what you need to speak for yourself. That is what's going to free you. That is the ultimate. Because then at some point, when death does come, you don't need to be afraid because you know that it's the real world, that it's life. It's life continuing. And maybe we go into another dimension of ourselves that's controlled by the same people, who knows? But hopefully we can retain what we've realized here and bring it over there. That's, and there's so much talk about, when you're born, you forget everything. Some people haven't. Some people claim that they fully remember their past lives and all that kind of stuff. Who knows? I believe everything until it's disproven, or I at least accept that it's possible. I allow it to be until it doesn't serve me and my progress in life. And that doesn't mean stepping on people and making people feel like crap to make yourself, because again, that's just a part of the game. And life doesn't need to be a game to be played. That's, again, a system that was created around us to trick us into believing. I don't think the universe is maybe playing peekaboo, if you want to call that a game. But there's a difference between playing peekaboo with a child, being the universe playing peekaboo with human souls, and creating the game of life. Candyland. Chutes and ladders. All this stuff. Those are a certain type of game. And when you play them, they steal your energy. They corrupt your soul. Because that's why we keep coming back and doing all this, because something came here into this realm and wanted it to be a certain way, and they wanted it's like that bully kid who's like, hey, I want you to be like me, or like that person in that religion or the political whatever, and they keep talking to you like they're going to convince you of what they believe, but you're like, no, I don't care what you believe. Like, maybe I respect it, maybe I don't respect it, maybe I just don't care. But no one's going to convince anyone of anything, and that's why social media is so brilliant, because you get to just mentally masturbate all day and all night, and whenever you want, it's right there, and you just go in, and you think you're talking to someone, but no one's really listening. They're just listening to themselves, and they're waiting to see someone who disagrees with them, and they go in, nah, and you know it, and you do it, and we all do it, and it's stupid. You're like, why am I participating in this? And it's because it's all just part of the game. Now, sometimes you can use the game to your advantage to kind of pull the pants down on the game. That's where I come in. I was born, I had a lot of Uranus, whatever you want to call it, whatever you were taught to call it. I had a lot of that energy inside of my chart, you could say, because I believe astrology charts. When you look at that, it all makes sense because it's pinpointing the moment you entered this realm. It's like if you want to get somewhere, you follow a map. Well, if you want to get to somewhere with your soul, you have to follow that map of energy. Planets and all the energy, star bodies around us, they're all reflective of this whole experience. And I mean, I can't wait to die because I can't wait to see what's behind the veil. Did I plan this? Was I just thrown into this world like a dog without a bone? Right? See, now we're getting it, right? It's all fucking connected, and when you figure it out, that's why music, they all use like the same words and phrases and things, because it's all the same fucking game. Right? Now we're learning. Now we're truly learning who we are. So, I mean, in some sense, I'm speaking to myself, and I know you're listening in your individual soul, but at some level, our spirit is connected. Right? Are you getting it now? Our bodies are connected through infinity. There's no empty space. Our souls are connected in the fact that they are connected through spirit, that we came through this place. And here we are. And this is why I became a minister, because I realized that as an artist I can only do so much. My true calling is to go beyond religiosity with my ministry, my universal beliefs. They are for everyone. That's the point. That's what, I've got a feeling that the more I lean into this, the more controversial it's going to end up being, because you can only push so far with these kinds of concepts. You start pricking people's concepts. I don't care what the earth is. Is it a realm? Is it a globe? Do we think, is it an illusion of being flat because it's a bowl surrounded by ice? I don't care. I don't care if there's hidden lands beyond where we are, if we've been lied to. It doesn't matter if there's ancient buildings and Tartaria existed, and we are all just waking up to the fact that we are in a game. And it doesn't really matter what the history of the game is. Because now we got to that point where we're making our own video games and we're realizing how close life is to these games. That's why people are addicted to video games, because it simulates life in a way that's so familiar but yet so exotic and fantastical. So my goal is, this is my testimony right here. This is it. This is everything you need to know about life and death. And this is the jumping point. This is where you go, okay, now I get it. Oh my God, it's all coming clear. Wow, we are all going through this at the exact same time. This is amazing. Wow. This is, that train in the distance, that's not just a train in the distance, that's the spirit confirming it. Yeah, I know it's that time of night where they drive by and they do that, but what are the odds that when I come to that moment, it's all happening, it's all one? And that's what they mean, it's all one. That's what one means. We are all one. And of course that gets corrupted by the game. But yet again, that's the fluxion of it all, right? Your hand can be a fist, or it can be like a slice of bread, or whatever. It can be flat, or it can be a fist, or paper, rock, paper, scissors. Well, shoot. That's where we are. This is it. If you didn't just feel all of that at the same time that I did, chances are that you don't know yourself, you don't know your soul, and you're not aware of that, and you need to get in touch with that soul. And maybe that's where I will take my next leap of faith, is in explaining to the best of my ability, or just bringing up the right questions and elucidating on them about what what the steps would be to understand our souls. I feel like I've been doing all this art stuff to try and get to this point spiritually. And now that I'm here spiritually, I'm knocking on the door and I go, well, am I going to fall back into my art self? That's kind of a mask. Or am I going to really push forward with my spirit? Because my spirit can usurp the soul. I'm reclaiming my soul. I'm reclaiming my soul from the game. I control my thread now. But what controls the thread, What is the string that pulls my wings? It's my spirit. It's the spirit. Spirit is like, it's like they say, like, flies have or like the hive mind idea, like there's all one mind. They're not individuated like us. We forget that we're individuated for a reason. At some point, it's likely that us humans, we're not so individuated. And maybe that was better. Maybe there are people who believe that the so-called Luciferic agenda was to individuate us. Some believe for a faster enlightenment and awakening of the truth. And some people have fallen into the labyrinth of illusion where the light of Lucifer can either burn you or it can illuminate you, and that's the choice you have. Again, it all comes back to choice. Angels we once saw as demons will come down and guide us. I think this is a good place to stop for now. This is the new launching pad. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know if there's a label for it yet. This is the infancy of something bigger, something realer, something that we all need, because the game is getting old and we're watching it decay in front of us. And who knows how many times this has happened to civilizations. We have these historical documents of philosophers and historians. How do we know what the fuck the truth even is? Ask your soul. Put your body down for a minute. Like I said, lay down. Ask your soul, who am I? Why are you like this? Why are you this? What has happened to you to make yourself, did I experience life in different times of history and time? That's all history is just slices of time. Was I a gladiator or a Civil War fool? I don't know, who knows? But maybe there's a reason why our personalities here in this world, in time, are inclined to like certain things of antiquity, or the clothes we choose, the way we look at life. It's all reflective of our soul. Oscar Wilde himself said, a person's image, how they present themselves, is a reflection of their soul. You can't deny it. That's part of your personality. But go beyond that. Go beyond the illusion of the ego, which is useful. The ego and soul are kind of like the yin and yang, right? The yin and yang, whatever you want to call it. Again, someone told you to call it that, so that's why the never-ending joke of potato, potato, tomato, tomato, because they both exist. It doesn't matter. Let go. Find your spirit. Fuck everything else. Just shut everything down sometimes and listen. Listen to your spirit. That's all for now. This is the once and future, past and present, man of time, person of time, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. Again, that's a whole other thing to get into, right, though? Think about it. Oh, now we're in a world where it's all about your pronouns. Well, who's telling you to do all this. It's like we're being forced to do these things, and then they convince other people, and then they tell 10 friends, and then now you have people who are like hired thugs mentally. You know, I mean that kind of also happened in like Nazi Germany, did it not? Where people were just going along with what was happening. Humans are easy to control in the game. Once you step out of the game, you can see it for what it is. You can see there's not just left or right. Our left and right parts of ourselves feel separated, but they're both trying to communicate back and forth. The spirit around us and within us is trying to Morse code to this part of us, this sun and moon dictated personalities that have been split. I don't know how it happened. We're still investigating that, but we are aware that it's happened. That's what's going on. Some type of psychic parasite has hijacked us. And the more you dig into this, the more crazier you become. And watch, I'm going to prove it to you. Because watch. I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to stop doing all the usual things I do with my friends. I'm going to stop making films. It's been great doing this social thing, but I need to spend more time to myself to get out of this game. I'm going to really pare down the world around my children and open them up to the spiritual world. That's been the most difficult thing in the world, is they have it in them naturally. It's not something I want to force, but they need to learn. It's like martial arts. You don't just learn martial arts to defend yourself. You learn it because you bring your body into harmony with the space and energy around and within you. That's the art of it. The art of being is the ultimate. Everything else is just trying to get there, or keeping you stuck in the game of it all. See, it's a never-ending thing. You can unravel it forever, and that's why they invented Zen, because Zen is removing yourself from the game, but giving yourself just a little 3-letter word to be aware of the game. I'm Zen. What does that mean? Oh, well, it really means nothing. I'm empty of form, but it's enough. It's like a wrapper on your gum. You don't really need it. You discard it. You just want to eat the gum, but you gotta unwrap it first. And that, the game is the gum. You eat the gum. Oh yeah. Someone invented it to strengthen your jaw. Oh, now it's just like we're like cows just chewing on gum. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? And the people that know this, they either manipulate us, they try to make us aware of it, people get killed for it. You gotta choose. If enough of us can rise up out of the game, then, what's left? I think that's the reason why people, the Agent Smiths of the world, as I call them, they love the game, because they feel safe. Well, there is no safety. There is no surprise. This is the end. This is what we're getting at. That's how you find your universal self. You let go of the game. And you realize that the game can be all around you either way. It's going to be here. It's going to change. It's going to move. But you don't have to feel so trapped. Let your soul see the light of day and the moonbeams of the night. And then let your spirit, let that part of you, that spirit wants to connect to you. It wants to join with you. The spirit wants to join the soul, but the game is blocking. There's like the soul and the spirit, and somehow they've taken something from the lower tier of the body and they've inserted it psychically between the spirit and the soul. Thank God I'm recording this because this is all key to the fundamentals of it. So, alright, man, I don't know how I'm going to sleep now. My mind is racing. Is it my mind? What is the race? What is the race to be won? Why am I racing? Should I get up and go to work tomorrow? Actually, yeah, I have to. I gotta do some shit, but I gotta go play with the game. But I'm an outlaw, I'm not gonna lie. I can't explain why yet. Someday I will. But I'm just weaving my way through the game. I figured it out, you know? I keep getting caught in these little traps. But, oh no. And I realize, you know, having children can feel like a trap. It's now popular to say, having kids ruined your life. Celebrities say that now. Because again, they want to have the celebrities tell you what to believe. Well, it's not true. You're supposed to awaken, and then you have children to awaken those parts of your threads, because those threads are connected to you. They're souls that are connected to your soul thread that's part of spirit. Spirit brought them in for this. This is what we're here for. So I read something recently that said, the desire to be loved is the last illusion. I don't know if I agree with that. The desire to be loved is the last illusion. I don't think that's true. I think that's like a weak way of looking at it. Some people call it nihilistic, some call it whatever. But if you really think about it, or go beyond that, whatever you want, when you just live, you have a choice. You can love what you're doing, and even the crappiest, whatever, selfish people, they love being a crappy, selfish person. So it's like, we are just looking for ourselves, for our self-love and acceptance. And we experience it in different forms. And when you can finally, you know, this is what they mean when they say, you know, be alone with yourself. Most people, when they think of that, it's like, you know, it's just really like self-serving habits, you know, eat the food you want to eat, touch yourself the way you want to touch yourself, think the things you want to think, say what you want to say. And we try to, if we get lucky, we get someone that we can convince enough to hang out with us and sit with us, and you still like me, right? You're going to enjoy life with me, right? Well, if someone is meant to be in your life in any way, shape, or form, they will be there when the time is permitted, when spirit knows it's time for them to be there. And we see it every day with thinking about someone and they text you or call or whatever. We are already there. It's just, again, it's like a psychic illusion that is trying to trick our soul from the spirit. Until you wake up to that illusion, that's the final illusion. It's not, love is already like, that's such like a manipulative way of looking at life. Or, is that even the right word? The last illusion is the desire to be loved. What are you talking about? That is horse shit. How can I quickly dissect that without taking a year to explain why that is so stupid? Because desire is what created everything. Desire is what creates us to want to be free from the game. Desire is also what created the game itself. It all at one point is, we all want to be and not be at the same time. That's what the universe is trying to understand, is that it is universe. It is one. It is. And yet we keep calling this. And I think part of us feels like if we finally all, like, imagine if, like, everyone on Earth just stopped playing the game, and we just all, like, stood together and we're just like, hey, God, Spirit, we're listening. We're looking up at the sky. We want you to come down and save us. We want you to change our lives, to be aware of us. Well, who knows we never tried it. So who knows what happened? We'd crash the game. The bigger game. The game that's more than just stupid things that run all the stupid shit. No, bigger than that. We'd crash the pillars of religion that have been, again, psychically holding us back. You know what? If you don't offend people, then you're obviously not doing it right. That's how I feel. And it's not like you have to be creative with it. Don't offend people because you want to hurt them. Offend them because they're getting hit by the truth so fucking hard that it's going to make them shit their pants like they're on a roller coaster. I have yet to see a reason why the game really is beneficial to anyone but the people that control it. So the sooner you get out of that game, or, I mean, have fun. I mean, we all like to play games. I love playing games. Man, do I love games. It's so fun. You get lost in the moment, and you're feeling it, and everyone's connected. And that's how they trick us, too. They incept us through that. You know, again, it's all coming to light. Just you wait. Yeah, April 8th is the first major solar flash. They're saying it's going to be, we are having an eclipse, but within that solar eclipse, they're saying, it could affect cell phones and Wi-Fi and this and that, because the sun is trying to wake us up. We have been in this moon phase for too long of the dark night of the soul and all this. It's time to come to light. It's time to wake the fuck up. Some people have already been there, and they've just been dilly-dallying in the game, like waiting with our heads down to the ground. We're tired of hanging around. See, is it clicking yet? Like, it's all one. Uni. Find the universe within. Activate the universe within. And there you'll see what Spirit is trying to tell you. The Spirit is the messenger of the universe. The Spirit is a messenger of the universe. The universe is telling the Spirit to communicate to the souls. Hey, we fucked up. Something happened. There's a glitch. Something happened. Some kind of virus happened, and they're trying to corrupt the spirit and soul connection. We gotta send in the troops to fucking save us from this shit. Sorry if I'm swearing, but maybe I'll have to figure out a way to make this like a child-safe version someday. I've got time. Ministers get old, so it'll be okay. I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life. I don't really know what else there is. Everything else is just people, killing time. So, and if I'm going to kill my time, I might as well do it the way I choose to do it. And I suggest nothing. Figure it out for yourself. I don't fucking know. I'm going to go to bed. But I'm going to wake up. When I do, maybe I'll see you there. Man, my dreams have been so beautiful lately. It's like all these fears just wash away. It's not that I want to sleep forever. When I come back here, it's like, wow. It takes the concept of simulation theory to a whole nother fucking level, I'll tell you that. But as you can tell, I'm really fired up about this. And it's going to change everything that I do. And there's no stopping it now. As my Aunt Jean said, don't let people steal your spirit. We're all warriors. We're all warriors of this light. And we have been through enough darkness. It's time to wake the fuck up. And, yeah. Oh, man, I'm so bad at goodbyes, but usually the best way is to just, like a Band-Aid right off, or whatever. The Irish goodbye.